Hey folks, my name is Mo Amir and this is VANCOLOUR, British Columbia's bona fide culture and politics TV talk show. Tonight, Sam Cooper will Sam Cooper about foreign interference in BC politics. But before we get to that, last week we recorded our show before the sad news that the 36th Premier of British Columbia, John Horgan, had passed away. John was actually the very first guest that we hosted on this program, and we wanted to set aside the politics to talk about John, the human being. And we're going to do that with a familiar face here on CHEK who knew John for many decades. You know him from Donnie and Dhali, the team, a legendary sports broadcaster. He is, of course, Don Taylor. Don, hello.
Hi, Mo.
Thanks so much for being here tonight.
No problem at all.
You were in a very unique position where you learned the news about John Horgan live on air. Mm-hmm. You've known him for decades. I wanted to give you a bit of time to properly reflect on John Horgan and your relationship with him.
Well, that was tough. That was a tough day because we were actually on the air with Donnie and Dhali, the team, when the news broke.
Yeah.
So it was tough. And everybody in this province, pretty much everybody knew that John was sick with his third bout of cancer. So it wasn't shocking. Always surprising, but not necessarily shocking.
Sure.
But to get it on the air was another story, and to talk about it. And the two gentlemen that I work with, Rick Dhaliwal and Ryan Henderson, expected me to say something, which I did. John and I go way back. Like, I'm talking when we were kids. Lacrosse players.
Okay.
We played against each other.
Wow.
We played against each other. I'm from North Burnaby. We had an organization called Norburn. Real powerful lacrosse organization. He played for Saanich, also powerful. They were, I guess you want to call it, sister organizations. So as a result, I believe it was twice a year we'd play against each other in tournaments, that sort of thing. As part of that, we did something that I don't think would pass muster today.
Okay.
Something called billeting.
Okay.
So basically, your parents would drop you off at a stranger's house for 2 or 3 days and say, goodbye, we're going to the bar or whatever, right? Whatever the case may be. I think 3 or 4 times, John was the guy that I billeted with, and he billeted with me.
Oh, wow.
At
you
my
guys had
home
sleepovers, basically.
We did. Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And played against each other. So on top of that, both organizations, both teams that we ended up playing on, when we got to a higher level, continued to perform really, really well. Mm-hmm. So on top of the building, which again, I'm not sure would go over well today, but Lord knows that I didn't hear any horror stories, but I don't know what the situation was there. But we ended up playing later on when we were older, 15, 16, 17-year-olds in BC championships and Canadian championships.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And there was one particular year.
So you played together?
No.
Oh, still
against each other.
Okay.
There was one particular year where I don't know if you call it coincidence, just the way it worked out, that we were both real powerful teams, and we ended up in a provincial championship against each other. This is mid-70s, and they beat us. Saanich beat Norburn in a provincial championship.
Yeah.
But we both qualified for the Canadian championship, which was held in Calgary. We beat them in the final to win a national title.
Wow.
John was some kind of pissed off about that. We had a talk. I'll never forget it. We had a talk afterwards, and on top of being a very nice guy, John was really good too. He was a real stud as an athlete. As I understand, he played soccer as well, but he was a really good lacrosse player. Had that great combination for that sport of a real muscular upper body and skinny legs, so he could move and take the punishment. And he was a really, really good player and just a really nice person that I got to know through that billeting program.
So how did you go from being lacrosse players to then both being public figures? Did you reconnect at that point?
Yes, well, exactly. So John, I started knowing of him, through television, through radio, and seeing him. And of course, we all changed through the years.
Sure.
I'm like, is that John Horgan, who used to play for Saanich lacrosse? And I mean, I'm in the public eye. I'm doing Sports Page at the time, Sportsnet, whatever the case may be. There's no way both of us would end up in the public eye. We end up seeing each other on Robson Street one day.
Oh, wow.
Burrard and Robson. I go, John, Donnie Taylor. He goes, yeah, of course. You are the John Horgan that, yes, and then we kept in touch after that, and we'd always talk not about politics, but about sports.
Yeah.
Something that happened in lacrosse, and he complained there wasn't enough lacrosse in our coverage, or jokingly, of course, and about the Canucks or the Lions, things like that. So he remained a sports fan throughout, but I remember him as being quite the athlete back in the day, and somebody who was really welcoming as a host during the billet days. And I hope he felt the same way about my family as well.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think the incredible thing about John is he does transcend politics quite a bit. And I know a lot of people say that, but you think about him appearing on your show or my show or The Upside, like he just seems like a guy. And so it sounds like he very much is that person that we saw on our televisions, even if we never got to meet him.
Well, anytime he had a interview from his office, there was always a lacrosse stick. I don't know if you noticed that. There was always a lacrosse stick in the background. I think that endeared him to a lot of people. And I have friends, and they don't lean towards the NDP.
Right.
But they respected him. And maybe a lot of it was just the way he came across as somebody who got sports. And, and is that important? Well, he got himself elected and that sort of
Politics
thing.
Politics is a team sport.
It is. And I just think it endeared him to a lot of people, whether you lean towards the NDP, the old Liberals, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
I think he related to a lot of people that he just seemed like a man of the people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So really quickly, final tally, Don Taylor versus John Horgan, who ended up winning the more lacrosse matches?
Well, there is, it's funny because one time he came on our show and he flaunted the gold medal he won.
Wow. Even after all those years.
Beating us in a provincial championship. It was really strange because Norburn ended up winning that Canadian championship. We didn't get medals. there were no, I had nothing to show.
He had receipts.
He did. He did. There was really no proof that we won. He knew we won, but there was nothing to show for it. So he made a point of that, and we just had a lot of laughs about it and a lot of fun.
Don, a pleasure to chat with you tonight. Thanks so much for your time.
Anytime, Mo. Anytime.
Folks, that was Don Taylor. If you're a sports fan, you already know Donnie and Dhali, the team, live from 10 a.m. to noon, weekdays right here on CHEK. And now after some business, it's back to business with Sam Cooper, who has some revelations about foreign interference in BC politics. Up next.